In 2021, a wildfire in California known as the Dixie Fire scorched nearly 1 million acres, destroying homes, livelihoods, and entire communities. Investigators traced the cause back to a simple, overlooked problem: a tree leaning against a power line. No explosion, no massive storm, just a small spark from something that should have been taken care of long before it became deadly. Left unattended, that spark ignited one of the largest and most destructive wildfires in state history. In the same way, anger often begins small. A harsh word, a misunderstanding, a wounded pride. At first, it seems manageable, easy to ignore, easy to justify, but left unchecked, it smolders under the surface of our hearts until one day it explodes into words or actions that destroy relationships, families, and souls. After the tragic shooting at the Amish schoolhouse in Pennsylvania in 2006, the world watched in disbelief as the families of the victims did the unthinkable. They forgave. They did not just say it, they showed it. They visited the shooter's widow, comforted her, brought her meals, and even helped support her family after the loss. Imagine that. A person who stole your child, your future, your peace, and your first move is forgiveness? No rage, no revenge, no lawsuits, no bitterness brewing for decades, just grace. Now, be honest. How many of us struggle to forgive a rude comment, a betrayal at work, or a cold shoulder from a friend? How many of us let anger stew in our hearts for days, weeks, even years, over far less? Jesus' words in the gospel today hit like a hammer. He says, it's not enough that we avoid murder. If we harbor anger, bitterness, and resentment, we are already guilty before God. We like to measure righteousness by what we haven't done. Well, at least I didn't kill anybody today. But Jesus says the real battlefield is in the heart. That sharp word you spoke last week, that grudge you've been nursing for years, that cold war you're still waging against a brother or a sister, in the eyes of heaven, those are just as serious as physical violence. In a world where violence erupts from anger, left to rot and fester, Jesus is calling you and me to do something radical. He's not just telling us to be peaceful people on the outside, but to ruthlessly deal with the anger inside before it grows into something deadly. He's calling us to forgive quickly, to pursue reconciliation urgently, and to worship with clean hearts, not just clean hands. In a world where violence can erupt from unresolved anger, Jesus' message is a call to examine our hearts, to let go of bitterness, and to pursue reconciliation. It is a reminder that true righteousness involves not just our actions, but our attitudes and relationships with others. He teaches that even harboring anger or using harsh words against others makes us subject to judgment. This reveals that God is concerned not just with our actions, but with the condition of our hearts. Chances are almost everyone here was angry at least once this past week. It may have been minor frustration with another driver. We are in Massachusetts. Or being irritated with your kids for not putting away their toys. It could have been a situation at work. Some husbands and wives live with daily anger and hurt feelings. Some parents and their children are in constant battle of outbursts of anger and abusive words. Many adults have hurts from childhood that keep bubbling up to the surface. Every time they think about them, they seethe with anger. Think of what would happen if everyone learned to deal with their anger. Child abuse and divorce would be nearly eradicated. murder, terrorism, and war would stop, and many health problems would clear up. Doctors believe that anger can harm the heart as much as smoking and high blood pressure do. The number one predictor in cardiovascular disease, more important than cholesterol, is mismanaged anger. Besides the physical health problems of high blood pressure, heart disease, and insomnia, anger can result in many other serious problems. Anger can cause relational problems such as broken marriages, loss of friends, and issues with children. Anger can cause major life problems such as the loss of job and property. Anger can also cause emotional problems as well. The embarrassing truth is that when I analyze my anger, almost always it's rooted in selfishness. I didn't get my way. I want my way. I didn't get my rights. I demand my rights. Proverbs 14:29 states that patient people have great understanding, but people with quick tempers show their foolishness. You see before you one of the bigger fools. So, the first step in overcoming anger is to analyze it honestly before God by looking at why you are angry. Anger is not controlled. If anger is not controlled, it will always express itself in wrong ways. Anger that is selfish, undisciplined, and uncontrolled is always sinful. If you blame someone else for your anger, your issue will never be resolved. You can say, I'm a very soft person. I'm getting angry because my wife is making me angry. My children are making me angry. My husband is making me angry. If we keep playing the blame game, we will never look into our own self. Even non-Christians can control their anger. Magazines like Reader's Digest often feature self-help articles with tips on how to control your anger. Psychologists offer anger management classes. That must be somewhat effective, or they would not continue to get students. Gandhi had a motto on his wall which read, "When you are in the right, you can afford to keep your temper. When you are in the wrong, you cannot afford to lose it." So, if the world without God can control anger, we who have the Holy Spirit living in us need to get rid of the excuse that we just can't control our anger. That's just not true. Our relationships, especially in our families, are very important to the Lord. Don't live in anger all week long and then put on a veneer of worshiping God on Sundays. He wants us to put aside the old veil of sinful anger and abusive speech and to put on a new veil of love, kindness, and forgiveness. The Lord's Supper is a frequent reminder of how he forgave us. So as the Lord forgave us, we are to forgive and love one another. There once was a little boy who had a bad temper. His father gave him a bag of nails and told him that every time he lost his temper, he must hammer a nail into the back of the fence. The first day, the boy had driven 37 nails into the fence. Over the next few weeks, as he learned to control his anger, the number of nails hammered daily gradually dwindled down. He discovered it was easier to hold his temper than to drive those nails into the fence. Finally, the day came when the boy didn't lose his temper at all. He told his father about it, and the father suggested that the boy now pull out one nail for each day that he was able to hold his temper. The days passed, and the young boy was finally able to tell his father that all the nails were gone. The father took his son by the hand and led him to the fence. He said, "You have done well, my son, but look at those holes in the fence. The fence will never be the same. When you say things in anger, they leave a scar just like this one. It won't matter how many times you say I'm sorry, the wound is still there." The little boy then understood how powerful his words were. He looked up at his father and said, I hope you can forgive me, Father, for the holes I put in you. Of course I can, said the Father. And so Jesus has done the same for us, for the nails that we drove into him out of our own